Hi, Tom. How are you?
Hey, how you doing? Hold on, I'm trying to get my headphones.
Here's Dawn. Hi, Dawn.
Hello.
I think this is a great topic as far as um, job seekers go because LinkedIn is so important, and it's. I hear people ask today, what's more important, the resume or the LinkedIn profile? And I don't think you can really say one is more important than the other. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
For me, they're equally as important because, as you know, I recruit directly through LinkedIn for two companies, and I know a lot of recruiters that do social recruiting these days. So the LinkedIn is the first thing they see. On the flip side, a lot of job seekers are applying for jobs. A lot of companies still use a job board. So right now, we're in that transition of what's more important. Personally, I say in 4 to 5 years, if you're not online digitally someplace, finding a job is going to be a lot more tougher than it is right now. I'm not sure if Dawn agrees with me on that.
Absolutely. I'm totally 100% with you on that. And there's a lot of people out there, believe it or not, they're very resistant to getting online. They feel like they're exposing their privacy. And it's like, well, you only put out there what you put out there. So you're not compromising anything you don't post. So anyway, it's really critical to have a presence out there. And there's kind of a thought process there that if you aren't online, then you're not doing anything of any relevance or significance that can be picked up by the algorithm. So that is something to think about. It's not necessarily the right thing, but sometimes there's that assumption by employers. What do you think of it?
Well, I agree with you, and it was unusual that I was thinking about this also because I talked to two people in the last couple of weeks, neither of whom had a LinkedIn profile at all. And as I told both of them, the most recent statistic that I can recall was on Career Builder, and you both know as well as I do, Career Builder does surveys of recruiters, employers all the time. And the one that I read, I believe it was 47% of respondents said if they don't see somebody online, they don't even call them. They just discount them completely if they don't find if they don't find them. And I would imagine that LinkedIn is the first place they go. So
I would agree with that. If not higher. If again, it's like if you aren't findable, then they're going to move on to somebody who is tooting their horn out there.
Yeah, I'm just about to release a post I just finished writing. 92% of recruiters are using social media to find candidates. And 1 out of 5 report they will most likely not to speak to a candidate if they have no social media presence. So it's not just LinkedIn, but LinkedIn is the main one when we speak about our career. I'm kind of falling to that boat. If I get a resume and there's nothing online, sometimes that's going to sway whether I'm going to reach out to someone or not. So it's important in so many different ways.
yeah, so what where did that statistic come from, Tom?
Hold on, I got my notes right here.
I was
Couldn't.
just wondering if it's JobVite because they did their Recruiter Nation report just it's 2021, but it was in the last 6 months, I think. So
Right. So that came from Adweek. They did a survey
oh, okay.
on that topic, and then the 1 in 5 that sticks that comes from another social media platform that did a survey. So, but it's just we're entering this digital age. We're not entering; we're in it, and we're just at the beginning of it. So as time goes on, our LinkedIn profiles are going to be a lot more important. I do, what Dawn was saying. Some people are so nervous about sharing their career on LinkedIn. So, we think the resume is very private, but if we have any of our resumes, any job boards, as a recruiter like Indeed, I go on Indeed and do a talent search and Indeed look for profiles that match what I'm looking for, just like I do on LinkedIn. So we sometimes forget that we're putting ourselves out there. So as long as you're not sharing any trade secrets, you follow the company's social media policy, Employees don't own employees' social media platforms, but there are some guidelines with the social media policy that you will have to follow. Outside of that, you should be pretty safe. I don't know if anyone wants to add to that.
Yeah, I would just add, and by the way, once you're here in the audience, if you have a question or something, please do come up. We're here to answer any questions that you might have about this. But, other than people who are in financial services, I haven't met anyone yet of the clients that I've worked with whose company did not want them to be on LinkedIn. Have you found that, Dawn?
Absolutely. Legal lawyers are very much that way. Legal firms,
Yes, yes.
I don't know why, but really dislike, and I think there are some actual regulatory things that they can and can't say online. So a lot of attorneys and lawyers are very reticent to post anything on LinkedIn because of those regulations. So they have to be very vague.
Well,
So
no, I was just going to say one thing I have found though is that if people who work for like a financial services company or a company that is concerned about employees, that they do have something that the employees can have, that they actually can have a profile, right?
Yeah, to answer that, I don't know if that was to me or Dawn, but yeah, they can have a profile, but what they say and what they put in a profile can be restrictive. But you can still tell a lot of great stories. You can let people know what your brand value is. People can understand how you operate and what you bring to the table without really going too deep into what we might have in a resume. So even those people that feel they shouldn't be on LinkedIn, there's different ways to approach it. So I would not shy away from being on LinkedIn.
And what are your thoughts on that, Dawn?
well, I think that if the company has some rules about that, obviously you want to stay within those guidelines and boundaries. But and Tom probably can speak more directly to this. But a lot of job seekers don't even know that there's a whole separate version of LinkedIn called LinkedIn Recruiter, and Tom's our expert here, and so are you in it. And so it's, even if you aren't filling it in with a lot of information, but you can work on tailoring it to have the keywords in there so that you are findable. That's and I'd leave it to you two experts to really peel back the curtain on that and really become that recruiter magnet.
Well, I bow to Tom on that. Go ahead, Tom.
Well, that's very true. I mean, I do talent searches all the time on LinkedIn, and there's a good handful of times I'll get people that don't have much content in their profile, especially when it comes to the career history. But the skill section, the job titles, and the headline is so keyword rich that those are the three areas that get indexed first. So that drives where they show up in the search results. So they might be number 10 or 15. And, if I'm recruiting for that type of position, I understand that they're not allowed to share a lot of information, but that still gets me into the network. I still could reach out to them. So Dawn is 100% correct. We can still show things on the LinkedIn profile and stay in the guidelines of a company and help us get found.
So, one of the things that I see still, and I just like to, talk briefly about this is people, not putting up headshots, and a lot of times it's people tell me they're worried about, age discrimination. That's what I hear most often, and we all know that there are a lot of isms out there, and an employer, recruiter, well, more so probably the employer or the recruiter on the employer's behalf. There's a chance that they might think that, you are too old, or you're too young, or you're too something. I mean, it's just sometimes they want somebody who's more diverse, and you're not diverse enough. So I realize that there are concerns, and many of them are valid. But the bottom line is, if you don't have a headshot up there, and I know LinkedIn's own research bears out, I think it's a profile with a headshot gets 21 times more views. And I Tom, if you could speak to that from the recruiter's perspective, when you're on there and if you see profiles that don't have photos, what does that tell you?
Well, like if I do a talent search, and let's say I have 130 profiles that the results for that type of position. So I freeze our search and I start looking at the list of candidates. I only see 10 people on a screen. So a couple of things I see an abbreviated version of the profile. I see the headshot, I see the name, the headline, career history with just company name, tenure, and job title, education, geographic location, and how many connections they have. So two visual things that can engage me to click on your profile before someone above you or below you in that list is a headshot and the headline. So when there is no headshot, I might not even gravitate to it. I'm probably going to look at people that have a headshot just because we're visual beings. That's the way we kind of operate. And in recruiting, if you have a headshot, you want to present the best of you. So I see a lot of bad headshots. A happy headshot, you dress appropriately, looking straight in the camera, mid chest up, and you're fine. I mean, we can't hide our age. At some point, people are going to meet you, whether it's going to be in a Zoom interview or in-person interview. So be proud of who you are and showcase. And when you don't put an image on it, you actually are giving that discrimination more power, in my mind. So that's my comments.
Yeah, I think that the downside far outweighs the upside. Go ahead, Don. I see you unmiked.
Well, I would also add that, and to Tom's point, that we are social creatures, and we do want to see, what a person looks like. That's just who we are, unfortunately. But I think there's a subliminal message that gets sent when people don't put up a photo, and essentially it's basically telling the viewer or reader that this person hasn't really been attentive to their profile. They just threw it up and then they walked away. And it provides nothing that shows that there's engagement there. To me, it's just like someone just threw something down on the counter and walked away. So it's kind of really just saying the lights are on, but nobody's home. And so, whole purpose of LinkedIn is networking and engagement. So if someone's just thrown something up and there's nothing going on there, that just means that that's kind of a dead end. And so that really tells people to just keep walking and not bother engaging, because it's like, well, who knows how long ago that they did that, and then they just never paid attention to their profile since then. So so similarly with the photo, it's also having the content on there, and not just having a robust profile built, but also having regular posts and things like that too. So it's kind of a multi-level project. But again, going back to my earlier comment about, like, you can't just make it look like the lights are on and no one's home, because that'll just tell people to keep going.
Yeah, I think you hit on a great point about being, unsavvy, and that's one of the things that people, if you're worried about age discrimination, you certainly don't want to look unsavvy on LinkedIn. And my favorite story about that is when I was recruiting myself, that I worked with a woman who was in her, I think, mid 60s. I certainly didn't ask, but we were chatting on the phone and she mentioned it to me. And she had a fabulous headshot. She looked vibrant, engaging, just as she was when you spoke with her. And she didn't have any trouble finding a job. I didn't place her, but she was one of the top candidates for the job I was trying to fill, and she soon found a job, through somebody else. So I think it's people worry so much about age discrimination that at least I think that's sort of the top ism. People worry about ageism, but the truth of the matter is, sometimes when people are worried so much about that, they see it even where it doesn't exist.
Well, just to add to that, when we feel we're too old, we feel we don't deserve the job, we give that voice a lot of power. We don't have a headshot. The way we answer questions, the way our body language during the job interview, the way the energy we give off will tell the recruiter, I'm too old for this job. Why are you talking to me? So getting the headshot up there first is the first stage to owning who you are. I try to coach my clients on that, and 90% of the time they fall into line. Sometimes some people are just so scared about putting themselves out there that I don't have the power to change their mind. But that's just wanted to add that to it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And for anyone who's listening to this on the replay, I just want to mention that I hear that from so many people, that attitude is really important. If you put out there that you're not confident and you're nervous, and if you expect to be discriminated against for whatever reason, you're likely going to see instances of that, even if it's not there, because it's just, we see things that we think. It's like when we read our own writing, we know it's written there, so we read it automatically. So I don't know, I guess that was kind of a jumbled explanation, but how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I agree with that. And let's face it, it's 2022. The majority of people out there looking for jobs have a cell phone, or someone in the family has a cell phone. So there's really no excuse. Take 20 pictures and pick the best one you feel good at and post it. It's a topic I'm surprised that we have to still talk about, because I see profiles without photos every day, and I see profiles with really poorly quality photos, or people that look so sad. I don't want to speak to a sad or angry person. I don't want to hire them or present them to the company that I'm recruiting for. So it's so important. And like Dawn said earlier, it's that subliminal message. If you have one, you don't have one. So take advantage and get the right message out there. That's my point of view.
And one other thing I just want to mention, because I did something about this. I did a video about this recently. People worry so much about having a professional photographer, and that's what I get from the people I talk to. I know I need a new headshot, but I don't have the budget for a photographer, or I'm just so busy I don't have the time to make an appointment with a photographer. And there's so many ways. I mean, you can have someone take a photo of you, as you said, Tom, with a phone, and you can go online and remove the background. You don't even have to worry about the background. You can remove the background, if you have a professional Canva subscription. You can remove the background and just put a new background on there. If you don't, you can go to a site that's remove BG, for, I guess, remove background, and you can upload your image and remove the background for free, and then go over to Canva, to your free account, and put a new background in. So there's just no excuse.
And I'll jump in here too. I mean, I have an iPhone and they have a great portrait function. I am probably the most picky person in the whole world when it comes to pictures. I don't usually take pictures of myself just because I don't want to even look at it. And but I did one that was like, oh, portrait mode. I was like, oh, that turned out really good. It turned out my Facebook page that I used for. But that actually can do a lot to soften the background and put the light in the right places and things like that. So there's all kinds of technology tools available to everyone to get that right picture that's going to communicate what you want to communicate. But you got to try. So that's the key thing there.
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to have to see if I can use that portrait mode when I'm doing videos, because you're so right. So, I also wanted to talk just a little bit about cover story. And um, I try to change my cover story every once in a while. I hate to see my face on video or in a picture, just as much as anybody else, Dawn. And I hate to hear my voice even more. But cover story is so important today, and it really does, I think, give job seekers an edge. I've talked to Tina, who's a recruiter that we both know, and she had told me that, she rarely ever sees a candidate with a cover story, but when she does, it can make a difference. So, what's your take on that, as a recruiter, Tom?
Well, I'm seeing very, very few candidates with cover stories. I think the problem with LinkedIn is people just don't know about them, or people think certain profiles have access to them. I've had a cover story up for probably 8 months now when it first came out. So I think as career professionals, we probably need to blog about it. We probably need to create a video of how to do it because I truly feel most people don't know that. And I do a lot of recruiting in New York. A lot of my clients in the career services, writing a resume and LinkedIn profile in New York, and it's very ethnic. I mean, I have a lot of names I just can't pronounce. So even that pronunciation, along with the cover story, could really impact how recruiters start speaking to you and how they reach out to you. So I think it's a very great tool. I just don't think people know about it. I'm done.
I have to say I do my part because I talk about it everywhere I go. It's kind of my new thing, and I'm not sure where Mary is today. Something must have come up, but I know I looked at her profile, and she put up a cover story I think fairly recently, and I saw yours. So Dawn, we got to get you on board with the cover story, and you know I have found something. Although I do think that face on the cover story is sort of the best way to go, but there are apps that you can use where you can put up a cover story without having your face on video. I learned about InShot. I use that to do videos all the time and use a Bitmoji instead of my face, and you can just do photos and voiceover, etc. And so so what do you all think about that? Is that something you would suggest to people who don't want to see their face?
Yeah, that could be an option. I mean, personally, this is ridiculous. I speak in front of audiences of up to 1,000 people, so I have no problem talking in front of people. But put me in front of a camera, and I'm a complete blithering idiot. I absolutely hate video myself, and so if I'm going to try to do something, then it usually takes 35, 40 takes, and I just haven't had the time and the bandwidth to sit down and do the story yet. So that's my problem. But
Well,
um, go
I
ahead.
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's just for me. I have to be in the right mindset, and I just been so busy, and it took a while actually for me to get that cover story feature on my profile. I have no idea why it took so long, but it finally came, and like I said, I just haven't had the time to do it. But I know it's important because that can provide a little bit more of that injection of personality and social connection to your LinkedIn profile, which can help just push people onto the yes button. Everything you can do to try to make everybody move over to the yes side is going to be helpful for you.
Well, I have to call you on that a little bit because unless you're recording the LinkedIn, the cover story in the LinkedIn app, it's only 29 seconds. 29 seconds. So I know that you can do it. And you know what? Think about your clients. Think about how you have to tell them to do it. And you can't tell them to do it if you don't do it yourself. So that's just what I'm thinking when I hear you, because I know you speak all the time, all over, in different parts of the world. So what do you say, Don?
It's on my to-do list.
Okay. Okay. So you know, and the headline too is something, I just did a presentation on LinkedIn the other night to some job seekers, and so many of them with the headline, they were asking about it because they just have their job titles up there, and the headline is the headline. They call it the headline for a reason. So when you're putting up there, it's you want to have something that's going to, as you said, Tom, that's one of the things that recruiters see, and it's right up there at the top. It's right under your headshot. So you want to have a headline that's going to sell you to employers. So what is your position on that, Dawn? I think you're big on creating taglines for headlines.
Yeah, and I love doing that. And it's what I coach people on when we get into the LinkedIn headline there is that you really have to think about your branding statement. And I break it up into kind of three pieces. It's like, what do you love doing? What are you good at? And how does that help your target company as it relates to where you want to go? And I always love playing off people's interests or strengths. And I also have them do a little bit of branding work before we sit down and come up with that tagline. But it can help them really show where they're pointing their arrows. And that again is another reason to tell someone who's reading the profiles, like, why hire you? What do you bring to the table? What is it that you do that's your magic? And so, or their secret sauce. That's another thing I like to ask too. So, so the more you can define that and put it on your LinkedIn tagline versus just listing a job title, it really helps you set yourself apart and really, it will make that difference against somebody else who might be applying for the same job.
So what do you both think about the open to work frame?
I think it's a good idea. I think it's sort of a mixed bag. I mean, you don't want to put you're unemployed in your tagline. So that's not a goal. That's not a, so it does let people know that you are looking. I don't know what Tom's thoughts are, but I think it's a way to communicate that, you are immediately available. And I think that's fairly new frame during COVID-19. So there might be another subliminal message saying, hey, I've been impacted by COVID-19 in terms of work, and I am available to work. So let's chat. Tom, what do you think?
Well, it's 2 years now that it came out with it. I mean, next month will be 2 years. And it was due to so many people losing their job during COVID. So LinkedIn was trying to amplify, I'm COVID impacted. I think at this stage, it's lost some of that fizzle. Now, I see so many profiles, even some of my clients that have jobs, they got new jobs and they still have that frame turned on. So I think people are destroying the purpose of it. And from a recruiter standpoint of view, I'm not looking for someone unemployed. And if they are employed and they're the right fit, that's great. My goal is to find the best person. So for me, is sometimes a distraction. If I'm looking at a list of 10 candidates on my screen, am I going to jump to people who are unemployed? I don't know. Typically, I would say not. My habit. So I think it depends on the recruiter. So I tell people test it out, keep it on a couple of weeks, turn it off. You can let recruiters know privately in LinkedIn the open for opportunities. But then again, a lot of people don't realize when they have to turn on, they're telling their boss. If they're currently employed, they're telling the boss and coworkers, "I'm leaving on the next train." So be careful how you use it. And again, I don't personally. I probably am against it more than I am for it.
Yeah,
That's my point.
I see it from both sides. The majority of the people that I've talked to about this or asked about it are on the side of, well, maybe it's not such a good idea, but people can always try it and see if it works for them. Of course, bearing in mind that yes, they do want to make sure that their boss knows already. I never forget working with a candidate when I was recruiting who was looking, and his boss found out he was looking and fired him. And luckily I was able to place him, but you do have to be careful when you're conducting that confidential job search. So I guess you would say the same thing about open for opportunities in the headline, because I see that sometimes. And my understanding is that's not something that most recruiters use as a search term, although I know some of them do.
I wouldn't use that as a search term. Open for opportunities, that's not part of your brand. We should always be open for opportunities, whether we're 25 years old or whether we're 65, whether we're an executive or entry level, we should always be open for opportunities. So that's not something unique. It's taking up some really great space where you should get more branding. And that's something I've been preaching for years. Open for opportunities, seeking new opportunities is not something that I look for in a candidate. But that's me.
No, I know. I was just talking to Lynn Williams earlier today, and we were talking specifically about resumes and ATS systems and all that stuff. But one of the things that we both agreed on is that a lot of the stuff it depends. It depends on the person. It depends on the circumstance. People are people, and I know that we all think of each of the clients that we work with as an individual, and it's not a cookie cutter for everyone. uh, so I have another question, and again, because we get go ahead, Tom.
Well, I just did a search for seeking new opportunities or open for new opportunities at LinkedIn. There's 5.3 million profiles. That's what they have starting or in the headline, and most of them that's the whole headline. So that's not going to support them finding a job or getting found by the algorithms. In the town search, I never look for people look for opportunities. I look for certain set of keywords. So I just wanted to share that. 5.3 million people.
Wow. Wow. I'm glad that you did. I'm glad that you did because I still see that even though sometimes I see the frame and looking for opportunities, and so I'm just curious about that. So I have another question. I don't know if you're familiar with this, Dawn. I'm sorry, Dawn, did you want to add something? Go ahead.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
So I've just learned recently that LinkedIn is going to start verifying employment. If you work for a company with over a certain amount of people, if I put down that I'm an employee of Diageo and I don't work there, that they can find out. Now I'm just learning about this. My understanding is that it's kind of been in place for a few years, but now they are actually implementing it. So I'm wondering, I don't know if you've heard anything about this, Tom. I imagine you have since you're a recruiter.
LinkedIn is not going to verify people's employment. That's not their business. What they're doing, if you connect it to a company's page, they're giving the people who own a company page, who manage a company page, an opportunity to say this person no longer works here, or this person doesn't work here. So they're not verifying opportunity that you work for companies. LinkedIn is not going to do 820 million profiles and verify employment. It's not what they're doing. It's going to connect the company page, and people run the company page and say these people no longer work here. So I'm not sure
Oh,
exactly. Yeah. So people are misunderstanding that. And think about it. Why would LinkedIn want to take on managing 800 million profiles? They won't.
oh no, I just heard about the employee verification. So let's say, for example, if I decide to go on my profile and I'm going to put that I'm VP of marketing at Diageo, then they would alert Diageo that I have just put I'm employed with
Yep.
them.
Yeah.
Oh,
Exactly. Yeah.
okay. So how do you think? So this is a question for you and Dawn. How do you think this is going to affect people who are, a lot of the clients that I work with? I'm sure the clients that you all work with as well. They leave themselves at a company even once they've moved on. Particularly if they're laid off for like 6 months or so. So how is this going to affect that, or is it going to at all?
I don't. Well, so the people that manage a company page, if they let go of 10 people, they need to go on LinkedIn and then click these 10 people no longer work here. Is corporate America going to do that? I don't think so. That's my personal opinion. I coach my clients. If you got let go or you left the company, it's okay to leave it as current in your LinkedIn profile for a couple of months. But at a certain point, you become a liar. Once it gets past 3 months, you're kind of lying. And the reason for that is because your current job title in LinkedIn recruiter searches, that I'm looking for someone that currently had the title of marketing manager, and you were a marketing manager, you're no longer a marketing manager, you could create your own company page or your own job title and call yourself a marketing manager. But a lot of people just say, I have no job right now. And if I'm looking for someone with a current job title, you fall off those searches. So that's where the challenge falls in. So I don't know if corporate America is going to manage that through LinkedIn, but we'll see. I mean, I think it's a good step forward to make sure people are being honest, but especially once you get past 3 months, it's becoming, it's just becoming a lie. So that's my point of view.
So what are your thoughts on that, Dawn?
Well, I'm going to take the long tail approach here. There was a gentleman by the name of Mark Hurd. I don't know if either of you know him. He unfortunately passed away. He was up in the Seattle area, and he had kind of thrown out a vision. He's very kind of forward thinking as far as where we're going with all these platforms and everything. And there's been different things that have popped up, but LinkedIn is probably the biggest vehicle that's kind of crunching forward and moving forward in this. But what he predicted is at some point, we're going to have like a whole complete system and platform that will have everybody's employment on there, even their salaries. I mean, you see different things like, oh gosh, I'm trying to think. There was dice.com. I've seen behind the scenes on the recruiter side, and it had a lot of salary information on there. So it's kind of like getting everything aggregated in one spot. And that might include what LinkedIn's trying to do, is to have the employment verification so that it becomes more of a trusted resource for potential employers. So, if we look at the bigger picture, we are going to probably someday have some giant aggregate platform that has every snapshot of every person and their work history. And Mark's also thought that at some point it might even be a talent bidding system. So sort of like eBay, which is kind of interesting. It's just some things to think about. But where is this all going is the question I'm asking here. And if you think about it, what if you were LinkedIn, what would you be doing? You'd want to be keep creating more and more value for the people that are investing in the system. So having employment verification would be helpful, because it's going to have opportunity to really give good information. But to Tom's point again, is like, who's actually going to follow through on that? I think there's a lot of training and that'll have to happen, and prompts that LinkedIn's going to have to give employers to keep checking and verifying who's online, and saying that they work at the company is that actually accurate. And I personally have also seen a lot of people that kind of quote let their LinkedIn profile sit unquote after they have left a company. They don't update anything because they're trying to extend that perception that they're still employed, even though so they can kind of say, oh well, I just never updated it, which it's not really ethical, but people do it. So anyway, that's my thought there.
Just I agree with Dawn and the guy's point of view. At some point, I think whether it's going to be LinkedIn, someone's going to create this blockchain that we are able to have all our private information, and we could apply it or use it in LinkedIn and release that blockchain information. So, and I do see that happening in another 5 to 10 years. And that's going to just change how we share who we are. So we'll have a surface things on LinkedIn and social media, and then if someone wants to know anything, then they ask for our blockchain. Or I'm not exactly sure how that works, but I see a lot of these things that Dawn just mentioned coming to surface at some point.
Wow, it's really things are changing. It's becoming, technology is kind of seems like it's taking over sometimes. I was actually in the store a couple of weeks ago. I saw somebody paying with cash. I thought I was, having a dream or something. But things are changing. So, we do have somebody new in the audience. If you'd like to come up and join our conversation, please do. We are chatting here about LinkedIn profiles and what's important to have on them if you're trying to attract recruiters. So, um, you know, let's talk a little bit about. Oh, hi. So, thank you for coming up and joining us on the stage. I am going to try to pronounce your name. So, is it Nidhi? Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. This is Nidhi. I'm from India.
I see that
Hello,
you are
everyone.
a productivity coach.
Yeah, that's right. So I actually have a question. I don't know if it's relevant for this room, but I'm a coach. I worked in corporate for 9 years, specifically in the training development field. I was a coach. I was a corporate trainer, and since like almost 1.5 years I have been freelancer under the name of my business, which is Skill Medley, and I'm a corporate trainer, and I have my clients who are my coaches. My question is around that I'm living in India, but I will be moving to Australia next year because of a personal reason. And I'm not very confident, because I'm just thinking that would I get clients there or not, because here in India I have a lot of connections. And when I apply for a role which is like a part-time role or something in outside India, my resume always gets shortlisted. So in those sense, I think it's pretty much visible. I get opportunities from UK, Netherlands, US, but specifically for Australia, I've not got any recruiter till now who has shortlisted my profile. Even they have viewed it. So I don't know, but how can I use my LinkedIn profile to attract clients in Australia? And like, just to be between ourselves, like, if I go there, I'm not going to be able to work legally there. So that's why I just want to have freelancing clients now, only start building my connections, so that if I'm there, I already have visibility, if that makes sense. Otherwise, you can let me know if you have more questions. Thank you.
Well, that makes sense to me. Who would like to start?
Well, you're doing coaching, so you're doing coaching services for your clients. So you're doing that remotely right now.
Sorry, I didn't get your last line. What was that you doing?
So you're doing coaching right now for your clients.
Yes, yes. I do behavioral training, like training for managers, for employees, within organizations within India, and I do coaching for productivity, leadership, stress management within India,
Hmm.
and I've also got some clients from US and other countries, but not anyone from Australia yet.
So when you get clients from UK and US, how do you get those clients?
Mostly through Clubhouse sessions, like somebody resonated with me on some topic, they will reach out to me, or through LinkedIn, people watch my profile and they look at my website, which is my
Okay.
business website,
So
and that's how I get it.
So who would be hiring you? So look at a company. What person or what position in a company would typically hire you? Someone in HR?
It would be directly managers right now, mostly, and HR also, yes.
Okay. So I would make a target list of top 25 companies in Australia that you might want to work for. Make that list, do some more research, find out the top 2 or 3 people in human resources, and then start a campaign outward. Because sometimes people like to do more local. Even for me, in New York or Florida, people like to do work with people that are local. But if you do your campaign outward and you start contacting these people, get them into your network, and then start those conversations, that's what I would do. It's going to take a lot of luck and a lot of social media and reaching out to people to get people to automatically want to hire you.
Uh,
And then people in the U.S. and stuff, if they don't mind writing you a review on LinkedIn, can show you diversity of clients also.
Yes, absolutely. I've actually got 2 recommendations from my US clients already on the LinkedIn. And
Okay.
honestly, I don't know which area are you from, but I have seen people from US have been very, open to hire me. I even have worked with a US company last year with whom I had a contract of 1 year, and they were giving me clients, and I was working for them. Unfortunately, that company is moving out of India right now, so I had to end my contract with them.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is, from Australia, like I said, that don't get visibility. So I wanted to know that if there's anything in the profile I can do in terms of the keywords or something which I can change, which can attract more of the people from Australia also.
Well, you could speak about that's being a target audience of yours, and you're planning to move to Australia. You just say that, right?
Yes, absolutely.
But talk about your future plans of moving to Australia in an about page, even on your current company page. Give the sense that I'll be there soon, so let's connect now, and then do what I said before. Targeting certain people to get a few clients in Australia. Then once you get a few clients in Australia, hopefully more doors will open up for you. Because a lot, even in the U.S. when we're looking for jobs, we live in New York, where we're going to move to L.A. Why would LA be interested in us unless you start connecting to people in LA, build that network, start those conversations, write some posts about the current market out there, so people see that synergy there. That would be my best advice at this stage.
Absolutely, Tom. That makes a lot of sense. And thank you so much. I would like, work in this direction. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I actually have a question for you, Tom and Dawn, and I'm curious what you think about this. I know sometimes when I'm working with a client and they are, in sort of the New York maybe metro area and they're moving to LA, that they can change their location on their LinkedIn profile. So, would that be something you think might work for her as well?
Well, I forgot to mention when you're doing open for work, or you're doing let recruiters know open for work, and I don't know if Nadie has what's that?
Oh, the services, right?
A service
Yeah,
page.
service page.
Uh,
I mean that.
do you have it? Yeah. So in the back end, when you let recruiters know open to work, you can pick 5 locations that you're open to relocate to. You can make Australia one of those. And if you have service pages, you also can, click down, work locally or work remotely. So the service page is also a place where you could possibly get some connections.
Sure. I can't change the location as of now because, like I was telling, like I'm going because of personal reasons. So right now I'm not getting the visa to stay there. I'm just going for like a tourism visa, and from there I'm going to apply for another visa, which will make me eligible for work in like some 6-7 months or something. So till then, officially I'm not allowed to work in Australia. But yeah, the what you suggested, Tom, I think it will be good. Like if I start connecting and putting something on my profile showing interest in finding clients there, so at least I can get some clients and get start getting recommendations from them. So I think, yeah, that will be my approach for now.
So I just have one last question for you. So do you have a service page on your LinkedIn profile? A services page?
I have a page on my business name, like Skill Medley. Is that what you're referring as service page?
No, no. You can set up your services page right directly from your LinkedIn profile, and you can set that up so that anyone looking at your LinkedIn profile sees that you offer services, and if they click on that, it will go to what's known as it. They call it the services page, and people can contact you on your services page if they're interested in working with you. And so that's something, and it doesn't cost you anything to do that. And Tom may be able to give you some tips on how to set that up, and that is different from your company page.
That would be awesome, actually. I didn't know about it, so thank you. I mean, I would get guidance and then I can look more into details on internet to set up this page. Thank you, Annette.
Oh, you're most welcome. we
I hope I'm
we
pronouncing your name correctly.
No, we're so happy that you came in here and joined us. We've been chit chatting as people have come in and out of our room, and it's always nice. We three know each other. We're friends as well as colleagues, so we can sit up here and chit chat all day. But we really want to be able to help anyone who might come in with a question. So we really appreciate you being here and coming up and chatting with us.
Yeah, I'm really grateful because, having somebody else's insights always are good, Like I didn't know about the service page, though I know a lot about LinkedIn. So I would definitely set it up. And if you have any more inputs, definitely would love to know that. Is any one of you from Australia by any chance? Or I'm assuming you are from US or Canada, something like that.
Yes, from the U.S. I've been to Australia a few times, but nope, don't live there. But look at my LinkedIn profile or Net's or Dawn's, and you see in the introduction card, you'll see that we have services that we offer. So that's where the service page begins.
Yeah, yeah. So I just want to mention, if you're interested in information about LinkedIn, uh, I moderate in a club called the Online Business Academy, and it we do rooms. There's one that's and you have to forgive me because I'm not good with the time changes, but one starts at 6 a.m. Eastern on Tuesday mornings. There's another group, the LinkedIn Mod Squad, and they are in the Online Business Academy Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on Clubhouse. We are actually doing an audio room tomorrow morning at 7:30 on LinkedIn, a LinkedIn audio event. And there are the person who's sort of the leader of that group. She's from Australia, so she Juanita, and I can never pronounce her last name, Juanita Z, and she would pr- might be able to give you some tips on that.
Oh, that would be great. Actually, I have followed the room, like the room which you is showing on your profile. So I've sent a notification bill for that. I'm going to follow all three of you, and absolutely that would be a great help if I can get connected to her as well. Thank you so much, all three of you. I'll definitely. Your morning is night in India. Actually, it's completely opposite. Like right now, it's 1:21 a.m. of Friday, 11th Feb. But I would definitely wish to attend your rooms and get connected to her. Thank you so much. Was I audible?
I think we lost the net there.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
but
sorry. Yes, yes. In that LinkedIn audio event tomorrow, we have one of our moderators is in India as well. They're from all over the world, so it's a really cool group. So we are, kind of winding down at the end of our time here together today. And Dawn and Tom, do you have any final thoughts? Because there's always people listening to these on the replay, and then when we put it up on YouTube. So any final thoughts you'd like to add?
I like to use the euphemism that your LinkedIn profile is like a garden. You need to tend to it, you need to water it, you need to nurture it in order for it to grow. So, again, you can't just dump it on there and just walk away and dust your hands off and say you're done. Your work is not done. It's a constant process. If you want it to yield fruit and productive contacts, it does take legwork. So, nurture it and understand that a lot of times things don't happen immediately. As we all know, social media has kind of changed how we do business, and it might be word of mouth, and it may end up that you connect with someone, and it may 5 years may pass before all of a sudden that person remembers you and then reaches out, and then you get some kind of business or benefit from that. And it also goes both ways. You need to be willing to help others and connect others. So it's a symbiotic relationship that you have to work on it and grow it. This is Dawn. I'm done speaking.
Thank you. Go ahead,
and
Tom.
to hear what Dawn says, I look at LinkedIn as being your resume on steroids because you have a lot more opportunity to flex your muscles when it comes to different areas of your career. There's just a lot more space and everything's truncated. So a recruiter's not throwing everything at first. They see the first few lines and they click read more for the summary page or about page. They click read more for every job. They have to click and open the skills section. So you get a lot more on a LinkedIn profile than you can on a 1 to 3 page resume. And then you can't break LinkedIn. You just can't break it. You're not going to crash your site. So play around with it. Have some fun. Try things. I mean, I'm a self-learner. I learn almost everything on myself. I don't even go to YouTube videos. I try to find the answers on my own. And then if I can't figure it out, I go to YouTube. But have fun with LinkedIn. Don't be afraid of it. You can't break it. That's my point of view. I'm done.
Okay, well, I will finish us off with one more analogy. I think of LinkedIn as a 24/7 networking event, which is something, that I hear talked about all the time. My dogs agree with me. See, they support everything that I say. And so you have to think about that. And sometimes when people first are on LinkedIn, I've been really active for just about a year now, and it's really changed a lot of my business and my business shift and a bunch of things. But it does take time. As Tom and Dawn both say, it takes time, but you have to be persistent. So thank you so much for joining us on the stage. Did you want to say something before we close? Thank you so much, Tom and Dawn, for being here with me. I really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day and a wonderful weekend.